So, this is our first class, okay, and for your course, I would just want to know, have you gone through the study material? Did you go through it? Anyone?
Yes, I completed the first one. And
Sparsh, can you speak a little loudly because,
am I audible?
yeah, now you're audible, right?
I was saying that I went through the study material. I had a few doubts in regards not particularly about the topic, but overall from the lens that
I'm
one,
not able to get it. आप थोड़ा सा जोर से बोलिए प्लीज. आपकी आवाज कट रही है. स्पर्श.
am I audible?
Yeah, now you are, but then in between your voice is cracking, so I'm not able to, kind of hear it clearly. Yes, what were your
Okay.
doubts? You were saying something about your doubts?
Yeah. One
Yeah.
question was about the usual examples that are given in the first set of things. I had a
Mm-hmm.
question that most of them are around women. In fact, majority of them are around women, but
Mm-hmm.
the entirety of it was about gender, gender and development. So it
Mm-hmm.
felt like somewhere, and I wanted to ask, was it an intentional approach or was it not considered as relevant? That
Yeah, it is. Yes, yes. See, I'll clear this one first because when we are talking about gender and development studies, right? It might sometimes occur that whenever we are talking about gender, we are primarily talking about women, isn't it? The fact is that how does development impacts, the gender, and within that gender, who is the one who gets marginalized? So whenever we are talking about development issues, why women is, most of the examples are coming for women because women are the one, or that is the gender, or the part of that of gender, which is the women gender, is the one which gets marginalized. And the development process sometimes does not have the same impact on the women, okay, as compared to the men. That also does not mean that men do not get marginalized, right? So because in a country like India we have uh, a lot of criterias on the basis of which the marginalization takes place. Okay, one is of course the power role, and that is the reason why we see that men tend to have a better position in the society as compared to the women gender, right? When it comes to when the caste system comes, then we see that a particular caste, both men and women get marginalized. Okay, so when you are going through the subject matter, you will find that a lot of examples are given, for the women, but it is a natural thing that within the gender differences, who are the one who is getting uh, impacted or affected. Okay.
No, so
uh,
my purpose was not comparing it with men. My question was more around the transgender community, specifically because they are even more marginalized than the women altogether. Where women are still identified as a gender, a lot of transgender community people do identify themselves as an invisible part of the country altogether. And the situation amplifies on levels where when we talk about violence, there are no rules, there are no specific laws for transgender community. um, there are they have to live on the outskirts or they have to live in their certain community themselves. The
mhm,
occupational, we talk about fair wage, but the mere fact that them not getting any kind of an employment in itself is the highest level of concern that gets raised. So, because I'm not comparing the examples with men, but the third gender,
mhm.
because when we talk any issue, when we spoke about, or when we had, for example, writing about gender mainstreaming also. there was
Hmm.
a question, what is gender mainstreaming? What are the benefits? What are the loopholes? The topics altogether were also kind of important, but when we spoke about I'm saying women are very important and at the center of the requirement currently, but so are the
Hmm.
transgender community. If
Okay.
women still gets 33% of the seats in law, as per the law, even in panchayats, even in the parliament and everything, there's no scope for transgender community. At max 1%, and that too, it's not applicable everywhere. There's a sense of reluctance even in the education sector, in the healthcare sector. The stereotypes related to them are even more rigorous as compared to women, and that
Hmm.
was something that I expected there to be in the content, but since I couldn't find it, I just had this question that was, why exactly was it, or was it something that was not in general considered?
Hmm. No, no, that's absolutely fine. I understand what you're saying. But is there a specific, example that you would like to specifically mention where you found that, there's something which is more prone to women rather than others?
Sorry, I didn't understand your question. Could you
No,
please
no.
elaborate?
What exactly is the point that you want to emphasize on is what I would like to know.
So my only concern was that in the entire first book,
Hmm.
that is the first uh, segment of it, which
Hmm.
spoke a lot about women. Even the
Hmm.
examples which were talking in general, when there is like women and development and all, I understand it has to be about women. But in general, when it spoke about gender, when it spoke about the examples related to how cisgendered men have a preference in the society by everybody, every example was in comparison to women. I
Hmm.
could not
Hmm.
find any content that was about beyond this binary section of gender, which made me feel again that here also there's some kind of discrimination because there's no content about them altogether. The reason why, at least for me, I chose this course was there was another course which was related to women centers. I forgot the name of the course, but it was women in gender or masters in gender
Okay, so you
relations.
are saying that yeah, the subject matter, most of you, what you have read, focuses more on women as compared to gender. Is that so?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but then the point is that you have to figure out as to what is it. It's a subjective matter, isn't it? When we are talking, why are we talking more about women, right? In spite of the fact that we are talking about gender and development, but we are focusing more on women in, throughout the course structure. Okay, so the reason is that we, out of the gender, who is more affected is what has to be taken into consideration, isn't it? And that is the primary reason why we are focusing more on women, because that is, out of the gender, right? I understand there is another gender, we unfortunately don't talk too much about, and that is the third gender, right? So but when it comes to the main two genders of the society, we are focusing more on women because, as I said, they are the one who are mostly being affected. Okay,
But
the
isn't the
development
third
policies.
gender affected more by it? Because when we speak about policies, if we talk about employment opportunities, if we talk about any sector, healthcare, everywhere, if it has to be created like a degree, then the most privileged section is the men. The other, I'm not saying women are privileged, they go through a lot of experiences, but
Hmm.
there's still a visibility and a recognition that has started to emerge. However, for the
Hmm.
third gender, because there are no policies in alignment, there is
Hmm.
a lot of stereotypical backing and inhibitions towards them. Their situation is even more worse. For example, if today a woman goes to a healthcare center or something
Hmm.
like that, she has a few access, she has a few rights. A transgender person is not even given those kinds of opportunities. When we talk about abuse, there was a statistic that violence report that came. Transgender people are physically, if not anything else, physically violated 10 times than even a woman. So these kinds of, if we are just talking about the gravity of the situation, then it has to be from all the lenses, no? Because while I understand that
Okay.
women are encountering such issues, gender as a spectrum can't be just limited to that. And in the content of the books that we were provided, I couldn't find much content even to start with. I could do my own research and everything, and I am doing that as well to diversify my knowledge in this. But that was something that after reading all the five books or all the five topics, there's only very
Mhm.
little conversation that happens in the third book, which is gender praxis and something. There's a little consideration of it, but in general, there's not.
All right. So you're saying that the other gender are not very visible in the study. Is that so?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So what you can do is you can definitely write up these things, and you can actually voice your opinion about it. All right, fine. In a postgraduate course, we always expect that you can actually voice your opinion about what are the things that you feel is not being included. All right, fine. So that is obviously possible. All right, is that okay, Sparsh?
Yes, yes, definitely. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Okay. Okay. Right. Thank you for bringing this to the notice, and I will definitely, discuss it with others. Uh, is there anybody else who would like to say something? Nisha, Manish. I mean, Priya is here. Manisha and Gora is here, of course, and we have Srisha, Nalini, right? Anything, anybody who would like to first discuss? Otherwise, what we will be doing is that I can just quickly run through the first block, and I can just give you an idea as to what does the first block has in it, and then we can figure out. Okay, so Gora
I
doesn't
have
have
a
any.
question about the
Okay, Shresha.
structure. Yes, this is
Huh?
Shrisha. So the schedule that I got, there are sessions on 8th, 10th, 12th, 15th, and 17th. Will this be the same session, or like is it like a repetition, or will these be separate discussions?
Repetition about what, Shresha?
So on each of these dates, are you discussing like a different unit,
uh,
or
no,
what's?
no,
I'm
it
just
is
trying to
not a
understand the.
repetition. Okay,
Mhm.
basically, what we see for the first, uh, topic, which is
Mhm.
primarily gender and development concept, approaches, and strategies. Right? We
Yeah,
basically, as you must have seen, we have about six blocks. Okay.
correct,
So with the six blocks, and we are actually scheduled. We have scheduled five classes. Right, I
correct.
was asked to take the entire thing in five classes, right?
Oh, okay.
uh,
So there
so
are
uh,
separate sessions that you're holding then.
yeah, so it's like
Okay,
five lectures, 2 hours lecture, or
right,
not exactly lecture, it is basically a counseling session, so it's more about discussion and all. So I
got
was
it.
told that we can do it like this, and now what is happening is that this MGS-01, in which the first block basically deals with concept of gender and development, right? So it is basically
Mhm.
about basic concepts as to what exactly is, how does the development process affects the gender, differences, or does it create a difference between the men and women, and why is it that in a development process we need to include the women primarily. Now, as Spar said, that we are focusing more on women, but what I could understand as the reason for focusing more on women is primarily because during the development process, initially, women were not considered, or women were not even
No,
taken
I
into
get that, and I
consideration.
get Sparsh's point also, and I think I'm with Sparsh on that regard. In that when a syllabus is created, I think we have to consider all genders that are marginalized in a course like this.
Hmm.
However, my question was specifically only about the schedule. So, say, what happens if I miss a session? So, is there like a recording? Can I reach out?
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, so my question was only to do with the schedule of these 2 hour sessions every week.
Okay, all right.
I'm just trying to understand the layout of this, basically.
Sorry. So,
I'm just trying to understand the layout of this course because so the
hmm.
thing is, I am a working professional,
Hmm.
so it may so happen that I may not be available on certain days. So I'm just trying to
Hmm.
understand if
Did you attend the session on about the entire course, the last session that we had on the last week? Did you on Friday? Did you
this
attend
is
it?
the first one that I'm attending. This is the first
You're
invite that I
attending
got.
this, yeah. So actually what
Yeah,
happened was, in that induction program,
yeah.
we had kind of introduced the course structure, okay,
Okay.
to the students, right? And that is
Uh-huh.
where you have missed it.
Yeah,
But
I
it
did
is
not get
there.
an invite for that.
Yeah, but then there is a recording of it already. It must be sent to your. It is must be there in your mail. Okay, so if you go through it, you can actually watch this one, the recording on the right, like Nalini just said that they have got the recording, right? So you have the recording, you can actually go see the recording and watch it, and then you will come to know what is the structure. Basically, as you know, that the entire course, your first year's course is divided into five different sections. Okay, so there are five topics on which you are going to you have received the books, right? So it
Yes.
is basically MGS-01, 2,
Yes.
3, 4, and 5. Okay,
Correct.
so for the first 5 days, as I said, we will be roughly discussing the gender and development, which
Okay.
concepts, approaches, and strategies, right? So
Okay.
there are six blocks, or six
Correct.
books rather,
Correct.
about
Yeah.
it. Okay, and
Yes.
in the first book, it is mainly about the the basic concepts.
Concepts. Yeah.
Yeah, as to what, because you must understand the basic concepts and then you go on to the next one, right? So that is how it is. And of course, for all the five courses, I think you are supposed to do the assignments. All right, so the assignments are already up. You have to get download them, and or you can just directly you have to check the questions on it. You have to write, you have to read the material, and by reading the material, when you understand the concept on which the question is there, you're supposed to handwrite it. Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
yeah, you have to handwrite your assignments. All right, and as far as submitting is concerned, there are two ways of submitting it. One is that I remember that when I did my course, I had handwritten the assignments, and I have uh, submitted the hard copies. But now, of course, there are options in which you can submit the soft copy also, right? So you have to scan it and
Mm-hmm.
send the soft copy. Basically, you're supposed to do it in your own regional center. Okay,
Okay.
so what you can do is that regional you have to get in touch with the regional center and find out what they want. They might ask you to submit hard copies, right? Or they may agree that you can send the scanned copies and send the soft copy, right? So
Okay.
for that, you have to get in touch with your regional center, with your respective regional center. All right. fine,
Oh,
and
yeah.
accordingly you have to submit it. All right.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So that is how it is. Go through the questions also. If you think that there is something that you would like to discuss on those questions, you are welcome to do that. Right. And would you want me to just roughly, give you an idea as to what MGS 001 has in it? Would you like
Actually, I've
me to
gone
just?
through the course material, so I
Hmm.
think at least I've gone through block one, that is. So I think
Hmm.
I'm good for now. But if I have any questions, I can I reach out to you directly or
You haven't received it?
no? I have received it,
Okay.
and no, I was saying I
Okay.
have gone through it. But if I have any questions, uh, who should I
Hmm.
reach out to? Was my question.
You have a question.
In case I have questions.
Okay, what is it? Maybe I can help you.
No, not right now. Like,
Okay, you
uh,
don't. Okay,
yeah,
all right, fine, no problem. You just go through it. See, I'll be there for the next, I think, 20 sessions with you.
right,
Okay,
yeah,
I'll be taking the sessions of MGS 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, and I think approximately it is about 5 sessions for every uh, topic. All right, so there
right,
will be 20 sessions in between. If you want to ask something,
yeah,
just let me know.
yeah.
And
Okay.
today we are having this session, we'll be having another session day after tomorrow.
Correct.
So you
Yeah.
can tell me the question at that time, and if I can immediately respond to it, I will do it definitely. And if I
Okay.
think that I would like to find out a little more about it, then I we can do it in the next session. All right, so
Okay.
that's not a problem. The counseling session is actually like for that only. You go through the topics, you
Mm-hmm.
find there is something that you want to discuss, you let me
Mm-hmm.
know that, and I give you the answer. All right.
Okay.
So
Makes
that
sense.
is
Yeah.
how we discuss it. If there is something which I find that okay, fine, this is something which must be answered by a senior staff member, then we can just always ask, Uma ma'am, or somebody to come in, right? And they can also help out, right? You can even write to them, isn't it? So that way, it's very open. All right, so you don't have to even think whether I should ask or not. It's not a problem. Just let us know what you want to know. We are there
Okay.
to help you out. Okay,
Got it.
right?
Got it.
So
Yeah.
shouldn't be a problem at all, right? Now, as far as these basic concepts are concerned, as I was just discussing, that when it comes to the development process, first of all, we all know what development is all about, isn't it? It is about, sorry, the changes that takes place in an economy, okay, or the changes that takes place in the society. Primarily, when the economic development takes place in any economy, in any country, it has an impact on the people of that country, doesn't it? And mostly, uh, whenever the development programs are adopted, there have in the previously, uh, gender was not specifically taken into consideration, right? A common plan or a common development policy was made, and it was implemented with the expectation that everybody will be able to get the benefit of that development. Okay, but time and again it has been noticed that it is not so. Not everybody gets an equal, equal benefits of a development program, right? Like for example, a very small example. Uh, when we talk about the Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana, okay, or these kind of employment programs that takes place, in which it is suppose it is decided that from every family who are uh, in the below poverty line criteria, every one person of each family will be able to get a job which is like, say, uh, maybe 10 hours a week or something of that sort, right? If that is a program that is implemented, when we implement the program, we actually think that, okay, fine, you know uh, this program will have an equal impact on everybody. Anyone in a family who wants to get a job can actually come forward and apply for that program, and then they will be able to get the job of, say, 10 hours, 15 hours a week or something of like that. Now what happens is that usually we fail to understand that this kind of a program will have a different impact on the men and a very different impact on the women, right? Because in a society, or in our society, it is always thought of that it is the men who must go out and work. Okay, because of that social difference that is there, or because of that power difference between the men and women, the advantage of this program is not will not have an equal impact on the women job seeker, if I may use that word. Okay, because if in my family, if I have my father and my mother, my brother and me and my mother, if such a program comes, because there is a tendency that it is the men who should go out for work and not the women, the preference will go obviously to the father and to the son. Okay, not to the mother or to the girl, or the women in the family, right? So we have to understand that when any development program is implemented, how does it affect the women, and how does it affect the men? So if a program is not having a desired impact on the women, then that means there is something else that needs to be done, isn't it? So, inclusion of women in the development program became a very important, topic of concern, and a very important topic of debate also, right? And that is the reason why the United Nations, there were a lot of people who started raising this issue, okay, about women not getting, proper focus, or women are not able to get the advantage. So then there were various kind of, programs, various kinds of conventions that were held in the United Nations. The United Nations declared 10 years as decade of women from 75 to 1985. And a lot of a lot of conferences were held in different cities. When you go through the first book of it, you will find that there were Copenhagen, and then there was this Nairobi conference, and all these conferences, people from all over the world, they came, women representatives who were there, and they had they started putting their concerns forward. And that is how the work, the focus on women started becoming more important, right? So second, just a second. I'm sorry, I have a bad throat, so there might be some interruptions in between. So that is how things started taking shape. Okay, because there were times when the policies were being made everywhere, and I'm not just talking about India, in many of the countries, when the policies were being made, they were actually made as one common policy for both men and women, saying that because we are talking about equality, we do not need to differentiate between men and women. A common policy will have an equal impact, right? So they kind of became a gender blind kind of a policy where we, because we have to understand that there is a difference between men and women. Okay, I'm not talking about the difference between the physical build, or I'm not talking about even the educational standards, but in most of the time there is a difference in opportunity, right? So the opportunity that was accessible, you know, to a man are not similar to a woman. Okay, so there is a lack of opportunity, there is a lack of the social system is such where women have always been put in a subordinate position, right? I understand that many of you who are uh, in the city areas will not find that these things happen. You know, when I started also studying, then I also realized that Arey, kyun aisa kyun, you know, why are we thinking like this, right? I got an opportunity to study, I got an opportunity to work, I got an opportunity to voice my opinion. But then when I started studying properly, and when I started going through this, when I met a few families, then I realized that it is not always, that's not really very true for everyone. Okay, there are people who are who are very fortunate with women who are very fortunate to have that kind of an upbringing. But in many of the families even today, you know, and I'm not talking about just in villages or in rural areas, I'm talking about even in the city areas. I have seen and I have met people while I was doing some kind of a research work. I realized that there are people who do not get that kind of an opportunity in spite of being, in spite of coming from an educated family, in spite of coming from a metro city, right? So, because of certain social values, because of certain social system that they have followed for a very long time, the family system that they have followed for a very long time, uh, women even in that family, coming from good financial background also, were not getting the opportunity that they should have got. Okay, so that is the reason why it has become important that whenever a government policy is being made, or even any other policy or is being made, inclusion of women, as a gender is very very important. All right, and that is the reason why representation of women also becomes very important, right? Representation of women in policy making, right? And that is the reason why nowadays people are insisting that we should have more people in the political field. We should have more people opting for areas in which the policies where the policies are being made. Okay, so more and more women should be included so that they can voice their opinion. All right, now there also, when you go through the subject properly in further, you will realize that just fixing up seats in parliament is not going to be enough. Okay, because the women who goes into the parliament, even if suppose a woman wins an election and becomes an MLA, and she's supposed to represent the women, it is also very important whether she is able to voice her opinion there or not, or voice the concerns there or not, right? Because I will share a small incident that I have come across uh, in one of the cities. I'm talking about Bhopal, and let me tell you, it's quite a big city. So there was this reservation was made for the women candidate to fight for the election of a mayor. All right. So this obviously, the one of the ladies, I remember, she we came to know that she is going to be the one who would fight for it, because seat reserved has been reserved for the women candidate. And then finally, she started conversing for herself, and her husband was also with her. And then we also decided that we'll vote for her, because we knew that, after all, we should encourage the women. Now she won the election. I think she became an MLA, right? Not the mayor, but she became an MLA. And later on, most of the time, I would see that her husband is the one who is moving around in the jeep, doing all the required things. When I started to find out where is the one who has won the election, came to know that she is at home. She is doing her regular home work of cooking and taking care of the children and all that. Most of the party work is being done by the husband. She is only there to sign, okay, or to stand in front of the press. Most of the talking is done by the husband only, right? There is an inauguration, and if she is invited, obviously she will be there, and husband will be there with her. And that is the only thing that she's there for, the face. Okay, because the reservation has been for the women. Okay, so now why I am giving you this example is that in order to have a women representation, if the government makes a policy that there will be reservation of women, 20% seat reservation of women, then we will get the 20% reservation, because after all, the seats have been reserved. But all these women who have been elected by the people, when they have gone into it, the problem is whether they have been able to speak out. Okay, so that means they have to be trained, so proper education, training, capacity building is also required if we want the women uh, to be able to stand. Okay, so these are the things which need to be focused on. All right, in a development process, these are the things what we must uh, try and include. Okay, right. So that is what the study is all about, which would help you to identify those areas where more and more work needs to be done. All right. So most of the thing, you just you will have to go through it, and you will realize that there are a lot of points which you need to work on. Okay, as to what is the meaning of development, how does development impacts on women, what are the areas where the focus on women needs to be, or focus on the gender needs to be done. Why is it that within the gender, why women are the one who are marginalized? Okay, what is the reason why they are being marginalized, right? It has been noticed and studied that among the world poor, okay, it is a major percentage of the population are the women population. So they are, because in many countries, including of course India, women do not have the right to the property. Okay, it is there by the law, no doubt about it. But at the same time, when it comes to the property division and all, finally, because we have a patriarchy society, the patriarchal society always has a focus on men. And therefore, the field, the house, okay, uh, it is the women don't have title to it. And because of that, they are also not able to get the advantages of getting a proper loan from the banks. Now, if suppose there is a woman who wants to take a loan for some productive work, most of the banks would ask them to have something which can be kept as a mortgage. Now, for that, one needs to have uh, some property, isn't it? It could be a house, it could be uh, it could be a land, or a piece of land. But generally, the land and the house belongs to the man of the house and not to the women of the house. And because of that, she is unable to take a loan independently, unless and until she has her own jewelry or something. She might be able to mortgage it, but otherwise she is not, right? And therefore that puts a restriction on her ability to take a loan to start a small business. Of course, there are a lot of other things are coming up nowadays, like self-help group and all, and they are the one who are able to help the smaller entrepreneurs. But it is just one of the reasons as to why women are not able to take a loan or start functioning on their own, right? So that is the thing that needs to be taken care of, right? When it comes to the organizations or the companies and policies of the companies, policies of the organization, any organization for that matter, they have to understand the difference between the men and women. All right, you cannot have the same policy for all, right? uh, uh, so we have to identify the needs, right? The women's needs and the men's needs, you know they have to be different, right? They are different, and that is the reason why you find that there are a lot of things which where you have the two different sides of it, the men and women. We have different bathrooms for them, right? Why? Because the needs again are different. So we have to identify what is the difference between the genders, and depending on that, we need to identify what is required, right? Whether it is the physical structure of an organization, whether it is the financial structure of an organization, they all need to be taken care of. All right, so identifying the difference between men and women, the identifying the difference between the needs of men and women, uh, it is important to make policies accordingly. All right, so basically when we go through the first uh, top point, or the first book of it, this is where we are talking about it, about the concepts as to the meaning of empowerment, the meaning of the discrimination, as to why the discrimination is there, right? The meaning of entitlement, as I just said, the entitlement of land, the entitlement of house, the property entitlement, as to we always hear that there is a lot of women who work on field, okay? But in spite of the fact that in an agriculture labor, you find that a lot of women constantly work on in agricultural field, they do not get enough returns out of it, okay? They are also not able to claim the entitlement of the land on which they are working, right? So they almost become like a labor, and a little bit of money that is given to them, and they have to uh, take it. And so that is the reason where it has become important to go for a gender mainstreaming. All right, so gender mainstreaming is basically that only, that we try and include women in the mainstream, okay? Bring them in the mainstream, bring them in the policy making system, uh, and for that they also have to be trained for it, right? So just as I said, just including them in the policy making will not have an impact unless and until they are able to voice their opinion, they are able to voice their concern, they are able to put forward their as to what they want. All right, so that is again very essential to to train them. So they should be able to access education, right? They should be able to access the various ways through which they can become more capable. All right, and that is where empowerment comes, isn't it? So empowerment is not just the financial empowerment, it is just one part of it, that we try and make women financially independent. Yes, it is important, because once they are financially important, independent, they are able to take certain decisions which otherwise they will not be able to take. But at the same time, even along with financial uh, financial empowerment, there are other ways through which to empower them, and one empowerment is definitely giving them education and giving them training. All right, so this is also very, very important. All right. uh, of course, you will be talking about gender planning, you will talk about gender budgeting. All right, so there are concepts like gender, gender auditing is there. All right, so gender analysis, as to collecting information about the requirement of the gender difference, trying to put them and try to use those analysis, and in a way through which we can implement the policies. So these are the things that we are going to talk about. We will talk about the strategic needs, the various kinds of needs. There are two main type of needs that we focus on when it comes to women. One is known as the strategic needs, okay, and the other one is known as the practical need. Or a practical need, or the practical gender needs are the basic needs of a woman. Getting financial help, all right, able to get access to clean drinking water, access to food, the food security. These are the basic needs of a woman, right? It is actually a basic need of anyone for that matter, but women, because they have to run the home. All right, so because women run the home, obviously these are the basic practical needs. Strategic needs are needs which uh, you know uh, relates to the power structure in the society, okay, even in home or the society, whether women are able to access education, whether women are able to access uh, women are able to contribute in taking decisions. All right, so how much role they play in the public sphere, right? So practical needs are basically uh, the domestic sphere, and the strategic needs goes beyond it. Now, the moment the women steps out of the house and starts operating or working in the public sphere, then a lot of times the power relations are threatened. Okay, so the man of the house may actually have maybe actually feel a bit threatened about the fact that the women is working. We heard cases in which uh, the power relations have become very, very critical when the women have started earning more, than the husband. Okay, so there are times that these kind of relationships become very, very strained. Okay, and that is where a lot of discussion needs to be done. And there, it is not just the women who needs the training and the counseling. It will be the man also who would need to get access to the counseling and to the training. Okay, it's not easy in a patriarchal society for a man to accept the fact that the women may be able to earn more, okay, or may have a higher position in the society than him, right? So for women it is not a big problem, because right from the initial period, we have seen that it is like the women is because they have been put in this in the uh, subordinate position. A women will not mind a husband who is earning more than her, or who is at a higher social position or economic position than herself. But when the reverse happen, then there is a problem. Okay, so how to handle those kind of situations? Okay, the psychological changes that needs to be brought about. All right, so these, all these things are somewhere or the other included, uh, in these uh, concepts. Okay, it is not just so you will not only talk about needs, you will also talk about the various the rights of a woman. Okay, the basic human rights of a woman, the special rights of a woman. Okay, so there are some human rights which are common for both men and women, right? Living with dignity, and working in a dignified work, getting the respect of the work respect. So these are there, the basic respect that we give to each other, the human being, being a human being. But also there are special rights for women, like for example the maternity rights. Okay, right. The right to be able to decide how and when and in what way you will allow your body to be used. It is my body, and I will take a decision about how and in what way I'm going to use it. All right, so nobody is going to force anything on a woman, right? So the women has the right to take the decision. So similarly, when it comes to the rights of becoming a mother, it is the women who should decide. Okay, because after all, the childbirth is something which the women is going to give the birth to the child. So it is important for the women to be mentally, emotionally, physically prepared. Okay, but in many of the cases we do hear that the women are being forced to bear a child, right? Haven't we heard that in order to get with the male preference, male child preference, a woman is going in for several pregnancies, and then several abortions, illegal abortions, because of the male child preference. So these are areas also which needs to be very strongly discussed and highlighted, right? And how it can be done. Okay, so these are the things you will talk about. We will talk about the gender gap. Okay, as to and gender gap doesn't mean the gap between men and women. It is the gap that occurs in the facilities, that the women gets the opportunity that the men and the women are getting. So who is getting more facilities, who are getting more uh, opportunities, is something that you will come across when you go and when you study the gender gap, the concept of gender gap. Okay, then we also talk about the social construction of gender, right? I'm sure many of you are aware of it, that gender is basically something which is constructed in the society, right? It is sex is something which is biological, obviously, right? So a male child and a female child, okay, by birth we are aware of it. But how do we construct the concept of gender? So when we construct the concept of gender, we also construct the social concept and the cultural concept of masculinity and femininity. Okay, so a man who if he loves some of the so called feminine ideas, then he has to face a lot of problem in the society. Okay, I'll give you a very interesting example. When I was teaching in a college, and we were organizing some cultural functions in the college. And we decided, I mean, some of the teachers said that we will be having flower arrangement competition and rangoli competition and all that. Somehow when the entries came, most of them were of the girls. Okay, girls were coming and giving entries, and it was a co-ed college where I was teaching. And there was this a boy who came to me and said that, madam, I want to participate in rangoli competition. And when he came, there were three men's boy students standing, and they started laughing. And then I was like, I said that, yeah, what is your problem? Why are you laughing? She said, no, 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 ma'am. Just imagine he is going to participate in, Rangoli. Have you ever heard of it? I said, yes, why not? And so just imagine, just because he was wanted to do something which, according to the society, the men are not supposed to do, he was being criticized. He was being ridiculed a lot. He was being constantly told कि अरे यार कि तुम क्या कर रहे हो. So these kind of mindsets needs to be addressed. Okay, so they are because they are all constructed you know socially. And I could tell you that that boy who participated in uh, the rangoli competition actually won a second prize. Okay, because he had made it very beautifully. Okay, so there is nothing like the man cannot make it and only the women can make it. It is all a social construction. Okay, so the gender roles, what one would be doing, how one will conduct uh, herself or himself in the society. These are what the social and cultural constructions, okay, of being a man and a woman. Okay, or being a masculine characters and of the feminine characters, right? So if, and that is the reason why, if somebody's sexual uh, construction is different. Okay, if somebody has a different sexual orientation, people start uh, making fun of that person. All right, though it is something which is not very unnatural, right? Because we are the one who are actually identifying people with it. With the dress, we are identifying people with the way they walk. We identify people with the way they speak. Okay, women who, if a woman has a deep voice, um, a lot of people start criticizing. you know ये क्या आदमियों जैसी आवाज है. That is the sentence people use, right? So why I'm giving you these examples, because in my experience I have come across these kind of incidents among the students. And then one has to really think, okay, as to how these kind of constructions uh, can be handled in a different way. Okay, and how we are supposed to you know uh, think about it, right? How the construction of a girl child takes place, how the construction of a male child takes place, right? How the socialization process helps in the construction. Okay, we know that the first construction or the first socialization takes place within the family, isn't it? And then the family is the one who would introduce the child to the society. Okay, and then they will mix up with the members of the society, and how then the construction of the male and the female child takes place, right? And it goes a long way, to have an impact on the uh, overall structure of the society, of the child. Okay, so this is what you are going to talk about. You will be studying about the sex segregation. Okay, and how does the division of labor uh, is decided. Okay, division of labor within the family, division of labor even outside the family. Okay, this is the women work and this is the men's work. Okay, and it does not only happen within the families. It also happens when when you go out to work. All right, there have been times when we come across people, and I'm talking about educated people, when they say that this particular work is not for the women. Okay, right? this is not for the men. All right. uh, and all these things have been structured in the society, in the culture. All right. So that has to be taken care of. We will come across a very very interesting topic which is known as labor of love. Okay. uh, when the women cooks for the family, when the women takes care of the child, okay, they are all taken as uh, the labor of love, and we all know that there is no payment for it. But if the same work is being done by somebody else, isn't it, we do pay. Okay, so if a cook comes and cooks for our family, then we will obviously pay for that person. So the same kind of cooking being done by our mother, it is a labor of love. All right. So I'm not saying that it should not happen, right? But at the same time, do we give that much of respect and importance to the work which is being done by our family, our mother, for us, isn't it? So in many of the countries nowadays, the women are actually saying that those uh, who are the homemakers, right? Whether the homemakers should be, their work should be actually recognized as a paid work. Okay. Because isn't it also a contribution to the GDP? Okay. In fact, in Australia, they actually did start taking, figuring out as to how one can calculate, the number of hours a women spend, okay, on these kind of housework, right? In India, uh, we have come to know that, especially in places like, in the rural, Rajasthan, people have to women have to walk miles to get water. Okay, because water is quite scarce there, and therefore people are there who are walking miles. Some, they spend some 4 to 5 hours to 6 hours to walk to the place where water is available, and then they bring home. So how a lot of a major part of their daily activity actually goes into getting these kind of things. The amount of money, amount of time women spend on collecting firewoods, okay, bringing them home, and then finally go into the cooking, and their entire day they are working. But when it comes to uh, the valuation of their work, it is not valued. Okay. So again, how it can be included, or should it be included? So there are being, having a lot of debates are there. It's becoming a little difficult because itna aasan nahi hai. You cannot really always calculate all these things in money. But if we are supposed to include it to into the GDP, then we have to give it a monetary value. So that kind of a discussion is being, is happening, right? And we will then, in the last unit, we will talk about the feminism. Okay. Feminism in development, as to how the feminist approaches have affected the development discourse, right? So the way they have talked about, there are, you will come across, the liberal feminism, as to how they have helped in developing, certain criteria, and whether it was good or bad, the framework as to how they have supported, the women's contribution. So all these things you will be discussing in the last unit. Okay. So that is there. You will be also talking about the basic concepts of patriarchy, as to what patriarchy is, what is, as I said, what is, of course, feminism. And you will also, as I said, you will be talking about a liberal feminism and the socialist feminism. There are different kinds of feminism who have, in the long run, given ideas, and they have given their approaches. Okay, so it's quite a big book, quite a large one. And then division of labor, as I said, the division of labor within the society, the sexual division of labor, as to what kind of, how the institutions have contributed in the gender and development studies, the institution of family, the institution of marriage, okay, the other, social institutions, how they have developed the concept of feminism, and you know uh, and of course the gender differences, right? So these are the things that you would be discussing, you will be studying in it. Motherhood and post motherhood, as I was just discussing with you, that there is something which is known as post motherhood, because we know that uh, women are actually working, they are contributing in productive work also, they are contributing in reproductive work also. So how has reproduction, which sometimes is also a major part of being a woman, how it has affected, right? So it is true that nowadays most of the organizations, uh, they give maternity, leave, maternity benefits, because the government is also forcing, and enforcing it as a proper law, as a human right law for the women, and I mean specifically for the mothers. But at the same time, there are times when a woman has to also, sacrifice a lot of things, right? Sacrifice their career. Okay, there I have met so many young girls who, there is one in my family also. She is a young girl. She got married, about 4 years back, and she had joined a new institutions recently. She was working in as a lecturer, and because she was not able to complete 1 year of service, and she is expecting, she had to leave the job, right? And she has left the job, and now she she was telling me that she may not be able to join back in the next 3 to 4 years, unless and until her child, whoever, I mean, she's expecting in February, and she was saying that I will not be able to join because I have to look after my child. Okay, because only husband and wife are there, and she is not very sure as to how she will be able to leave the child to in a crèche, whether it is a good one or not. And then she was saying that maybe I have to take a break from my job for 4 years, right? So I mean, like, so these are just one small example that we come across. Okay, and that kind of a thing does not apply to the father, isn't it? The father will be taking care of the job only, but the child will have to. I mean, the women has to take a break, right? So these are the little things which may actually not look very big, okay, or may not be very important as such. When we see it, when see, okay, fine, what is the problem? You know, you're taking a break for 4 years, fine, but then that will actually put a setback when it comes to the girl's career. Okay, a break in 4 years means that she is going back 4 years, and after 4 years, the competition in the job market will be much more for her, isn't it? So these are a few, these are the areas where we have to understand what the difference that a woman faces and the difference that a man might be facing. So the gender studies actually highlight, these kind of uh, areas, okay, these kind of important parts. Okay, so this is roughly what you are going to do in your first uh, book, right, of MGS-001. So anything that anybody would like to ask, please?
Hello.
Yes,
Uh,
Gauri.
yes, ma'am, I just have one question. I have downloaded the PDF files also for the course material, and I had opted for physical copies. So I have
Uh,
received, but there are
just
some. Sorry.
uh, no, no. Just can you be a bit louder? I'm unable to hear your voice
Yeah,
clearly.
yeah. Is it
Yeah.
okay now?
A little more loudly, please.
Uh,
Just a minute. I will just switch off my mic. I don't know.
Ma'am, till Gauri is typing the message, I wanted to ask that I have not received the 001 book one. Rest I have received. So how to get that? And I am having lot of problem in logging in on the Samarth page. It's just not accepting anything.
रिप्लाई चैट बॉक्स में दे दिया है, चेक कर लीजिए प्लीज।
Sir, but the last time I spoke to Uma, she said that there has been a difference, and that's how the physical copies have been sent. So for a lot of students who have not
मैम
asked,
फिजिकल कॉपी के लिए ही लिखा है, आप इसमें देख लीजिए, नहीं मिल रहा ना तो आप ये मैं भी एक एड्रेस कर रहा हूँ, ईमेल आईडी भेज रहा हूँ, उस ईमेल आईडी पे मेल कर दीजिए।
नहीं नहीं मुझे
अभी चैट
फिजिकल
बॉक्स में
कॉपी
ईमेल
नहीं
आईडी मेंशन
चाहिए, मुझे सिर्फ इतना
रहते कहाँ हैं आप?
पूछना। सर मुझे सिर्फ इतना पूछना था कि लास्ट टाइम उमा से जब मेरी बात हुई थी, शी सेड कि देयर हैज बीन अ चेंज इन द करिकुलम। जो फिजिकल कॉपीज जो स्टूडेंट्स को भेजी गई उसमें इनकॉर्पोरेटेड था, बट ऑनलाइन मुझे वो नहीं दिखा, तो मुझे उसी के बारे में पूछना था खाली। जो फर्स्ट उन्होंने बोला ओनली इन द फर्स्ट बुक देयर इज अ चेंज और एडिशंस हुए हैं कुछ।
मैं
तो
मैडम का ईमेल आईडी भेज रहा हूँ आपको, आप एक बार मैडम से बात कर लीजिएगा इस बारे में। इसके
ठीक
रिगार्डिंग
है।
हमारे पास इन्फॉर्मेशन है नहीं। चैट
ओके,
बॉक्स में
थैंक
भी
यू सो
ईमेल
मच।
आईडी शेयर कर।
ओके। सर, ये कुछ लोग ये भी कह रहे हैं कि जो सॉफ्ट कॉपी है और जो हार्ड कॉपी है उनमें कुछ डिफरेंस है क्या?
मैम डिफरेंस पता नहीं, वो क्या पता इंडक्शन मीटिंग में मैडम ने कुछ शेयर किया हो, तो ये ईमेल आईडी दिया है ना, जो इनके डाउट्स है ना वो ईमेल करते हैं मैडम को, तो मैडम
अच्छा।
क्लैरिफाई कर देंगे इनको।
ओके, 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 ऑलराइट,
थैंक यू।
ग्रेट। या, थैंक यू सो मच। ठीक है, तो आई थिंक दैट इज व्हाट इट इज। आई मीन देयर आर सर्टेन डाउट्स व्हिच कैन बी you know solved, and what you can also do is, sometimes whenever you are finding this, just go to the website. Okay, you will find all those places where you can actually write a mail. Okay, and let me tell you, they do respond. When we were also doing it, and we get a immediate response and help. And so therefore, that way you will not have a problem. Okay, right? So that is something which you can easily do, right? So anything else that anybody would like to ask, or I know that many of you have not probably gone through the material fully, but whenever you just go through it and let me know about you know the doubts that you have, we can always discuss it openly without any problem, right? And when we meet in the next class, which is going to be on Wednesday, we will be discussing the uh, you know second book, which basically talks about approaches of gender and development. Okay, so we will discuss that, so please go through it, right? We can also talk about strategies in GAD, that is gender and development. So that is basically the approaches and the strategies is something that we'll be doing. And just go through it if possible. You have one day in between. I know most of you are working, but just go through it and figure out what you would like to discuss. Then it becomes easier, for us to discuss. As I said, the number of classes are limited, and the number of sessions are limited. So if we want to just discuss everything, we can just go through it. Okay. So that is how it is. Now, anybody else would like to say anything? Misha, Manisha, anyone? I can see the names, some of the names here.
Ma'am, the deadline for assignment submission.
Okay, I think what I have come to know that it is 15th of February, right? So start preparing accordingly, right? And later on, it is also possible that the deadlines can be, extended, right? So just keep a lookout. You will be getting all the informations on the website, and but as I said, it's a good idea to start preparing. All right.
Just one question, because 15th February, as you're saying, even after that, we have a few sessions aligned. So a lot of our doubts, which help us in
Uh-huh.
these assignments, might not have been done before that. So, would like, how much is the possibility that there'll be an extension?
Um, Actually, quite a possibility. Like, suppose, sometimes even as a student, you people can also, you know, you can also, ask for that. Okay. If you are going through the material, have started writing and you feel that, you need a little more time, you can always put a request. Okay, right? So the moment you do that, I mean, the authorities are there, they will also take a decision, right? And there are possibilities, okay, right? So that it is possible. And yeah, there are questions being asked whether it is possible to have a WhatsApp group, right? So it is up to the students, right? You people can kind of uh, get in touch with each other, right? And yes, think about it. And if you feel that you want to include me in that, just let me know, and I'll definitely share. And no issues at all. One of you take the responsibility of creating a group, right? Okay. Okay. So somebody can take it. No issues at all. So this is how it is, and it's a good idea. You people can have a conversation, and you can share your problems also with each other. And if you then want, of course, you can come across and let me know what the problem is, and I will do my level best to help you out. Okay, and that shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Anything else? Anybody would like to say something? We still have some time. Yeah, sure. No, no problem at all. Uh, I'll share my number. Just a minute. All right. So, yeah. So, anything that anybody would like to say, share, or whatever? The review that I just gave you about the first book, was that okay? Things are a little clear to you, about the basic structure, basic
Yes,
concept,
yes,
and the
ma'am.
basic. Okay, okay, fine. So just go through the material and just look at it, and just let me know whatever comes across to you. If you want to know something, just let me know about it. Okay, and we will definitely discuss on that. All right. And as I said, please go through the second book, and okay, right, Sparsh. We will look at it. So, if they just go through the second and the third book, if possible, right? And we will be able to read it. We will be able to discuss on it on Wednesday, uh, and same time, right? Okay, right.
Can we log out, ma'am?
If you want to, I mean, from my side, I have given you a basic idea about uh, the first topic. I was just waiting that if anybody would like to ask something, we still have about 30 minutes with us. Okay. And so I'm open to it, or if you want to discuss something else, uh, just let me, so that's why I'm available here, right?
Ma'am, the project thing, has it been discussed in the first session, or we still have to, like, it will be discussed in future?
Yeah, yeah. Uma Madam is going to, take that particular part, okay, of, you have already received the book, isn't it? A small book.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. So go through it. Okay, it gives you an idea as to how you should prepare a project proposal. All right. Uh, so you have to, of course, go through that entire booklet, and Uma Madam is also going to be, taking a few classes on a few counseling sessions on it, and she will also let you know, okay, as to how you will be making a project. All right, you can
Okay,
wait for
ma'am.
that. All right, you can wait for ma'am to give you a review on it, so that it will make everything very clear to you. All right. That's the first thing. Secondly, when you are making a project, and you also have a, you can also do an internship, as ma'am also said that day. If you want to do an internship, then you have to identify uh, you know uh, an organization, right, where you will be doing the internship. All right.
Okay,
So
okay.
the details of the internship as to how you will do it is there in the booklet, but obviously you have to find out the organization, isn't it? So wherever you are living, You can just see, and that organization should be working for the gender issues. Okay, so you have to identify an organization which is working for gender issues, women issues. Okay, so if you have that, and that you have to send the details of that organization to Savita ma'am and Uma ma'am. All right, and just send a letter to them. They will go through it and they will identify and will ask you to go for the internship if it is okay. And for the project, of course, you have to prepare a proposal and send it. It has to be accepted, and then only you will start your project. All right, so that has to be done. So you can start working on it and figuring out what you want to do. Go through the booklet, start preparing, and then wait till ma'am takes a class for that, isn't it? She will take a session. All right.
Sure, ma'am. Okay.
Right.